Hi everybody. The purpose of this video is to go over a mistake that I made during class today, and it applies to this particular part, this particular example, solving quadratic variables or solving for quadratic variables in a formula. Okay, so let's work through this example and I'll show you where I went wrong and show you what you guys need to do. Okay, we want to solve this equation for t, which basically means that we want to isolate t. So let's just go ahead and do that. And of course, the first thing we do is we would multiply both sides by 25 divided by g. So we have s is equal to 1 over 125 g t squared, and we're going to multiply both sides by 125 divided by g. 125 divided by g, and when we simplify, the g's here cancel, the 125's cancel, and we have, flipping the equation around, t squared is equal to 125 s over g. And of course now we want to take the square root of both sides. And when we do, we will have that t is equal to plus or minus the square root of 125 times s divided by g. Of course, 125 is equal to 25 times 5, where 25 is a perfect square. So this gives us plus or minus the square root of 25 times 5 times s over g, and we can factor out the 25 and take the square root of that, and we will have plus or minus 5 times the square root of 5s over g. And this is where I stopped during class, and that was a mistake, because right now we have a square root of g in the denominator. And we cannot complete our answer with a square root of g in the denominator. So we need to multiply this entire equation by 1. Well, not just 1, because it doesn't help us much, but we do know that 1 can be rewritten as the square root of g divided by the square root of g. So let's go ahead and do that, and that will give us plus or minus 5 times 5s over g. We can multiply that by the square root of g over the square root of g, and that gets rid of the square root out from the denominator, because the square root of g times the square root of g is just simply g. And then on the numerator we will have the square root of 5 times s times g. And this is called rationalizing the denominator. And that is what I forgot in class, and I apologize for that. Okay, we want to multiply, if we have a radical term in the denominator, we want to multiply the equation by 1, or specifically by a fraction which has that radical term in both the numerator and the denominator, to turn that into something without a square root. So let me go ahead and just do the other example, which is pretty much the same. It's this one right here. Here we have, oh, this one is different. S is equal to S0 plus 1 over 125 gt squared, and we want to solve this for t. So the way we want to do that is first get all the terms without the t's on one side and all the other terms on the other side. We only have this one term, so let's get rid of that. We can do that by subtracting s0 from both sides. All right, and then we simplify, these cancel, and we have 1 over 125 gt squared is equal to s minus s0. Okay, well, we can do the exact same thing we did before. We can multiply this side by 125 over g, and then this side by 125 over g. We can then simplify. 125 cancels here, these g's cancel, and we have that t is equal to s minus s0 times the 125 divided by g. I'm sorry, that should be t squared. And then when we take the square root of both sides, we will have that t is equal to the square root of s minus s0, that quantity, times 125, divided by g. Okay, from the previous example, we know that we can write the square root of 125 as 5 times the square root of 5. So let's go ahead and do that, and that will give us 5 times the square root of 5 times the quantity s minus s0 all over g. And now I'm actually going to break this into individual square roots to make it clearer. Here we have 5. Up here I can rewrite that as the square root of 5 times the quantity s minus s0. And over here I have in the denominator the square root of g. And once again, I cannot have a square root in the denominator. So what I can do is I can multiply this expression by 1, or more specifically the square root of g divided by the square root of g. And again, this is called rationalizing the denominator. When I evaluate this, I'm going to have that t, and I forgot the plus or minus, my apologies. Let me go ahead and take care of that. We will have that t is equal to plus or minus 5 times the square root of 5g times this quantity s minus s0. 5g s minus s naught. And then in the denominator, I have root g times root g, or just simply g. And if I wanted to make this nice and pretty, I could rewrite this as plus or minus 5 over g times the square root of 5 times g times the quantity s minus s naught. So the main thing I forgot was this, and I really apologize for doing that because that would kind of mess up your homework. So make sure that when you do these problems, I think there were 2, maybe 3, make sure you rationalize the denominator. If you don't, chances are MML will say, well, you did it right, but you forgot to do this part, and this is what they are talking about. Once again, I apologize. Thanks for your continued patience. Please watch this video so that this part doesn't trip you up, and contact me if you have any questions. Otherwise, I will see you on Thursday. This is Bob Oil, signing off.